You might be holding a simple 2 pence coin. But what if I told you it could be worth thousands? Join me on HD Old Coins 51 as we uncover the hidden fortune behind this ordinary-looking coin. Top 1. In the swirling mists of modern British numismatics, few coins evoke a curious blend of familiarity and intrigue quite like the 1993 UK 2 pence coin. At first glance, it may seem unassuming, a small copper-plated disc, easy to overlook in a pile of loose change. But hidden beneath its simple design lies a rich tale of evolving minting standards, a deep connection to British identity, and a surprising rise in collector interest that has taken even seasoned numismatists by storm. To truly appreciate this coin, we must begin not in 1993, but decades earlier, when Britain's monetary system stood on the edge of transformation. The 2 pence coin was first introduced in 1971, a pivotal year in British economic history. It marked the country's transition from the centuries-old pounds, shillings, and pence system to a more streamlined decimal currency. Known as Decimal Day, the 15th of February that year was both a logistical triumph and a cultural milestone. The 2 pence piece emerged from this transition as one of the cornerstone denominations of the new system. Its mission? To ease the public into this decimalized world and facilitate everyday transactions with a coin that felt substantial, both in size and value. From its earliest issues, the 2p coin carried with it a regal yet practical design. The reverse side, crafted by the talented Christopher Ironside, depicted the badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of 3 ostrich feathers encircled by a coronet, with a ribbon bearing the German motto, Ich diene, meaning I serve. This emblem, rich in royal heritage, dated back to the 14th century and was steeped in chivalric tradition. It lent the coin an air of nobility and continuity, anchoring the new decimal series in the storied past of British royalty. On the obverse was the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, a youthful effigy sculpted by Arnold Machin. It was a design so iconic, so quintessentially British, that it remained in use on all decimal coins for decades. By 1993, however, the coinage had undergone subtle yet meaningful changes. The portrait had been updated, now featuring the Raphael Makloff design introduced in 1985. This newer depiction presented the queen with greater maturity, wearing the royal diadem rather than the tiara from earlier portraits. A symbol of her enduring reign and the stability of the crown amidst a rapidly changing world. In 1993, the 2 pence coin was struck in copper-plated steel rather than the bronze used in earlier years. This shift was part of a broader cost-saving measure undertaken by the Royal Mint to cope with rising metal prices. While the change was largely invisible to the casual observer, it marked a significant moment in the evolution of the coin. The new steel core made the coins magnetic, a trait that collectors today use to easily distinguish between pre- and post-change issues. The Royal Mint's decision to switch metals was not made lightly. For centuries, the composition of coins had been a reflection of economic realities. Just as silver content was reduced in earlier periods when prices soared, so too was the bronze of the 2 pence coin eventually replaced. The 1993 issue was one of the first full years where copper-plated steel was the standard for circulating 2p coins, though older bronze issues remained in circulation and legal tender. To the British public, the difference was negligible. But to the discerning eye of the collector, the distinction between metal types, minting years, and even die variations can be the difference between a common coin and a numismatic gem. It is here, in this fine granularity, that the 1993 UK 2 pence coin reveals its collector appeal. In terms of mintage numbers, 1993 was not an extraordinarily rare year. Tens of millions of coins were struck for general circulation. Yet over time, factors like condition, strike quality, and provenance have propelled select specimens of this coin into the spotlight. The allure lies not in its scarcity alone, but in its representational value, a coin that symbolizes transition, adaptation, and the enduring elegance of British coinage. Collectors often speak of the perfect storm when explaining why a particular year or issue gains notoriety. For the 1993 2p coin, this storm is multifaceted. First, it represents a pivotal moment in metal composition, copper-plated steel taking over entirely from bronze. This shift makes 1993 a demarcation line in the eyes of many coin historians. Secondly, its minting quality was particularly high in select batches, and a number of near-pristine, uncirculated examples found their way into collector hands and coin fairs during the 1990s and early 2000s. Perhaps most intriguing of all is the coin's recent performance in the auction market. In a striking turn of events, what was once loose change now occasionally commands staggering prices at numismatic auctions. In March 2023, a superbly preserved 1993 2-pence coin, graded brilliant uncirculated, fetched a surprising £375 at the D&W auctions in London. Another specimen, part of a proof set, saw fierce bidding online at the Coin Cabinet auction in December 2024, closing at £420, well above the expected range. What drives such interest? Condition, provenance, and increasing awareness among collectors that early 1990s 2p coins with specific features may be significantly undervalued. These high-profile sales have sent ripples through the collecting community, sparking renewed interest in British decimal coinage. Social media forums and YouTube channels dedicated to rare coins have lit up with debates about which years hold the most value. Videos titled, "Do you have this rare 2p coin?" garner hundreds of thousands of views. Among them, the 1993 issue remains a hot topic, not because it's rare in sheer numbers, but because of its transitional context and the rising market trend for high-grade examples. Anecdotes abound of lucky individuals discovering a mint-state 1993 2p in an old piggy bank, or inherited coin albums containing nearly untouched specimens from circulation. The excitement isn't merely about the coin's face value. It's about the possibility that something so mundane, so commonplace, might secretly be worth far more than it appears. This is the magic of numismatics, the romance of history, the thrill of discovery, and the joy of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. The 1993 UK 2-pence coin also holds a place in educational collections and museums. The British Museum and the Royal Mint Museum both feature 2p coins from across the decades as part of their decimalization exhibits. These displays emphasize the importance of coins as cultural artifacts, tools not just for commerce, but for storytelling. Every element of the 1993 coin, from its weight to its imagery, reflects a moment in time when Britain was redefining itself economically, politically, and even artistically. For young collectors, the 1993 coin often serves as a gateway into the hobby. Affordable, accessible, yet steeped in significance, it offers a perfect blend of education and intrigue. Veteran numismatists, meanwhile, appreciate the deeper narrative it tells of mints adjusting to global markets, of monarchs aging gracefully on coinage, and of tiny details that can make all the difference. So how should one evaluate the true value of a 1993 UK 2-pence coin? There's no single answer. A worn, circulated coin might still buy you a handful of sweets, its value unchanged since the 90s. But a pristine example, untouched by time, sharp in detail, gleaming with luster, can capture the interest of bidders from around the world. In top condition, prices can range from £100 to £400, depending on the auction house, certification, and buyer demand. Coins in proof sets, especially those with sealed Royal Mint packaging, often command premium prices, especially if the sets are complete and in original condition. Collectors also consider the presence of errors, though these are rare for 1993. Off-center strikes, misaligned dies, or planchet anomalies can skyrocket the value into four-digit territory. One such error coin, displaying a partial reverse design and striking flaw, was sold at a specialist auction in Birmingham for a whopping £1,200 in early 2025. These coins, though few and far between, continue to spark the imagination of the community. But beyond numbers, beyond auctions and grades, lies the true essence of this coin's appeal. It is a piece of modern history, a reminder of a United Kingdom standing on the edge of a digital age, adapting its currency to the pressures of globalization while maintaining the elegance and heritage of its royal past. The 1993 2p is more than metal. It is memory. It is transition. It is a story captured in copper and steel. Top 2. The year was 1994, a time of quiet transitions and quiet revolutions. Britain, nestled in a post-Thatcher era and quietly moving into the heart of the information age, was unknowingly creating yet another small but enduring legacy, a piece of copper-plated steel that would go on to captivate collectors and historians alike. The 1994 UK 2-pence coin, often overlooked in change jars and desk drawers, carries with it a story not of grandeur and pageantry, but of precision, subtlety, and lasting impact. Our journey begins not in 1994, but a little over 2 decades prior. The United Kingdom, in 1971, underwent a massive change in its currency system. Decimalisation transformed the British monetary landscape. Out went the pounds, shillings, and pence of old, and in came a new, rationalized system. It was in this climate of transformation that the 2-pence coin was born, a relatively large coin for its denomination, designed not just for function, but for a kind of understated elegance. Fast forward to 1994, and we find the UK in a world of transformation once again. John Major was Prime Minister, overseeing a nation slowly climbing out of economic recession. The Channel Tunnel, an engineering marvel, had just opened its undersea gates between Britain and France. Oasis and Blur were on the cusp of bringing Britpop into full bloom. Amidst these larger historical waves, the Royal Mint quietly pressed millions of small copper-plated 2-pence coins, each one bearing the time-honored image of Queen Elizabeth II on one side and the badge of the Prince of Wales on the reverse. But what sets the 1994 2-pence coin apart? At first glance, nothing. And yet, as any collector worth their salt knows, it is often the most unassuming coins that harbor the most curious histories. The obverse of the coin features the portrait of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II by Raphael Maklauf, a design used from 1985 until 1997. This third definitive coinage portrait of the Queen shows her wearing the George IV state diadem, a crown encrusted with over 1,300 diamonds, a visual nod to the monarchy's enduring prestige. Her effigy is regal yet approachable, a balance Maklauf famously aimed to achieve. Surrounding the portrait are the inscriptions Elizabeth II DG Reg. FD 1994. Latin for Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. Turn the coin over, and you're greeted with the intricate design of the badge of the Prince of Wales. 3 ostrich feathers encased within a coronet. Beneath the feathers, a ribbon unfurls with the motto, Ich die German for, I serve. It's a powerful symbol, one that links back to the Black Prince, Edward of Woodstock, and a history of royal heritage that stretches back over 650 years. The denomination 2-pence is struck boldly beneath the motif, and that is all. No fuss, no clutter, just a pure expression of coin design, at once ceremonial and democratic. But what makes this coin truly compelling is not just its design, but its composition and minting history. In 1992, the Royal Mint changed the composition of the 2-pence coin from bronze to copper-plated steel due to rising metal costs. The 1994 version belongs to this new era. Though it retains the coppery hue of its bronze predecessors, it now reacts to magnets, a fact that makes coin testing a curious pastime for the eager numismatist. Though minted in vast quantities, estimated at over 200 million in circulation. Some examples of the 1994 2-pence coin have captured collectors' attention for different reasons. Variants with die errors, planchet issues, and especially uncirculated examples in mint condition have fetched handsome prices in the numismatic market. And when such coins are brought into the auction spotlight, stories unfold. One particularly pristine example of a 1994 UK 2-pence coin, graded brilliant uncirculated, and sealed in original Royal Mint packaging, fetched £78 at a 2022 Warwick and Warwick coin auction. Though modest compared to gold sovereigns or rare commemoratives, this price is impressive for a coin with a face value of just 2-pence. The auctioneer described it as a near-flawless example of mid-90s British coinage, cherished for its simplicity and preserved with astonishing care. More intriguingly, a reported 1994 2p error coin, struck off-center with visible double striking, was sold on eBay in 2023 for £214 to a private collector in Yorkshire. Though authentication by a professional grading service was pending at the time, the coin created a ripple of excitement among British penny collectors. Such rarities turn everyday coins into mysterious treasures, proving that even the most common pieces of metal can become symbols of obsession. The coin's popularity doesn't just lie in its value or rarity. There is something nostalgic about it. The 1990s were a time when the coin was frequently passed through the hands of children on their way to sweet shops, bus drivers giving change, and shopkeepers counting tills late into the night. It evokes a certain Britishness, an everyday token of life on the aisles during a pre-digital age. Collectors today often look for full sets of 2p coins, one from each year since decimalization. And the 1994 version, while not rare in circulation, becomes a vital piece in this mosaic. Proof versions, struck in superior detail for collectors, add another layer of desirability. These coins, with their mirror-like fields and frosted reliefs, are often encased in Royal Mint presentation cases, accompanied by certificates of authenticity, and can be worth significantly more, up to £35 to £50 in secondary markets. Depending on condition and demand. In a world dominated by flashy commemoratives and silver proofs, it's easy to overlook the quiet dignity of coins like the 1994 UK 2p. But that would be a mistake. Because behind that simple copper face lies a story of British history, royal tradition, minting evolution, and personal memory. It is a coin that asks not to be idolized, but remember. So the next time you come across a 1994 2p coin in your change, take a moment, tilt it under the light, examine the edge, feel its weight. You're not just holding currency, you're holding a tiny piece of Britain, minted in a year when tunnels opened beneath the sea and Britpop echoed from radios. And perhaps, if you're lucky, that little coin in your palm might just be worth a little more than 2p after all. Top 3. In the misty corridors of numismatic history, every coin tells a tale, some of kings and queens, others of rebellion or triumph, of economic evolution, or quiet persistence in the face of change. And among those humble yet haunting whispers of time stands the 1995 UK 2p coin, a small copper-plated disc that has become far more than pocket change to collectors and historians alike. It is a silent monument to a specific moment in British monetary history, a coin that, on its surface, seems ordinary, until you peel back its layers and listen to the story etched in metal. 1995 was an interesting year for the United Kingdom. The economy was stabilizing after the early 1990s recession. The world was changing rapidly with new digital technology creeping into homes and schools, and John Major sat at 10 Downing Street, navigating a divided political atmosphere. Among these societal shifts, the Royal Mint continued to quietly perform its age-old duty, producing coins that would facilitate everyday life, not knowing that one such coin, bearing the value of merely 2p, would, decades later, find itself center stage in auctions and collections across the globe. The 2p coin had been a staple of British currency since decimal day in 1971, when the UK abandoned the complex system of pounds, shillings, and pence in favor of a streamlined decimal system. The coin was designed by Christopher Ironside, whose work beautifully captured the grandeur of British heraldry while keeping the coin readable and accessible. From its introduction, the 2p coin was minted from bronze until 1992. After that, a cost-effective copper-plated steel version replaced the original material, a subtle shift that would have significant implications for collectors in the years that followed. The 1995 edition continued this copper-plated steel tradition, gleaming in its reddish-brown hue. At 25.9 millimeters in diameter and weighing 7.12 grams, it felt solid in the hand, familiar to the public, yet often overlooked in the grander scheme of numismatics. Yet that very year saw a drop in production numbers compared to some previous years, with most of these coins ending up in circulation almost immediately. They were workhorses, spending years clinking in tills, resting in jacket pockets, forgotten in the corners of old purses, or tossed into fountains with hopeful wishes. But time has a way of elevating the ordinary, especially in the realm of coin collecting. As decades passed, collectors began to notice that pristine examples of the 1995 2p coin were becoming increasingly hard to find. Most had been spent and worn, their once crisp edges dulled, their designs smoothed by a million microfrictions. Few had survived in mint state, untouched by circulation. And among those few, some were found to possess subtle errors or varieties, minute differences in strike, metal tone, or misalignment that would excite even the most seasoned numismatist. The obverse of the 1995 2p coin bears the mature effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, as sculpted by Raphael Maklauf. This regal portrait, used from 1985 to 1997, presents Her Majesty with a dignity befitting her station. Every curl of her hair, every fold of her crown, was struck with precision by the royal mint, making it a miniature masterpiece that aged gracefully through the decades. On the reverse, the badge of the Prince of Wales dominates the design. A coronet with a trio of ostrich feathers emerging from it, encircled by a ribbon bearing the German motto, Ich diene, which means I serve. It's a symbol dating back centuries, steeped in royal tradition and inherited through generations of princes. Ironside's depiction of it on the coin is simultaneously intricate and bold, blending fine detail with solid line work. Beneath this heraldic image lies the simple denomination 2 pence, rendered in a serif typeface that evokes both clarity and tradition. But what truly draws collectors to the 1995 2p coin is not just its aesthetic or history. It's the rarity of finding a flawless example in today's market, and the occasional emergence of mint errors that spike demand. For example, coins struck slightly off-center or with die cracks across the coronet have fetched considerable attention in auction houses. One particularly sharp specimen, still gleaming as if untouched by time, was sold at a 2023 Spink London auction for an astonishing £540, far exceeding typical expectations. It was graded MS67 by the NGC, its surfaces unblemished, its luster untouched by the passage of years. The bidding was fierce, beginning at £200 and climbing steadily as collectors from the UK, Canada, and Australia joined via online platforms. The final hammer fell amidst a flurry of last-minute offers, proof that even the most modest denomination can stir intense desire when rarity and condition align. The appeal of the 1995 2p coin has also grown due to changes in public currency habits. With the rise of digital payments, fewer coins are being used daily. People no longer carry jingling pockets of copper and nickel. Instead, they tap a phone or swipe a card. As a result, coins from the late 20th century are quietly disappearing from circulation. They're being withdrawn, melted, or simply forgotten. And within that silent exodus lies opportunity for the observant, the passionate, and the collector who sees potential in every penny. There's a particular kind of nostalgia that accompanies coins like the 1995 2 pence. It's a portal into the past, a tactile, tangible connection to a time when life was simpler and change was something you held in your hand, not updated in an app. For many, it recalls childhood memories of corner shops, arcade machines, and family outings where a few coins could buy you a handful of sweets. That emotional pull, combined with the thrill of rarity and discovery, has created a loyal following of collectors who seek not just monetary value, but the stories and memories attached to these small metal tokens. This humble coin, once minted in the millions, has become a minor legend in numismatic circles. Online forums buzz with sightings, debates over minor design differences, and shared photographs of personal finds. Entire YouTube channels have dedicated videos to it, some showcasing hidden varieties, others warning of fakes. It's become a symbol of the unexpected treasures hiding in plain sight, and an invitation to look closer at the spare change in your drawer. And then, there are the collectors who strike gold, figuratively, of course. In 2022, at an auction held by Baldwin's of St. James's in London, another 1995 2 pence coin surfaced in uncirculated condition, with an error caused by a die rotation of nearly 20 degrees. The anomaly turned heads in wallets. It eventually sold for £620, setting a record for the denomination. That same coin, had it not been spotted and preserved, might have bought a packet of crisps or been lost beneath a car seat. So, what does the future hold for the 1995 UK 2 pence coin? Its trajectory seems destined to climb, slowly but surely. As more examples are lost or damaged, the remaining high-grade specimens will only increase in desirability. And with growing interest in modern numismatics, driven in part by social media and global collector networks, even humble coins like this one are gaining the recognition they deserve. In the end, it's not about the face value. It's about history, artistry, rarity, and emotion. The 1995 UK 2 pence coin represents all of that and more. It reminds us that extraordinary stories can live in the most ordinary places. It teaches us that every coin is a tiny time capsule, waiting for someone curious enough to unlock its secrets. So the next time you come across a coppery coin in your collection, or even at the bottom of a piggy bank, pause for a moment. Look closer, because that might not just be 2 pence. It might be the key to a story, a memory, a legacy, or an unexpected fortune. And somewhere out there, in an auction house lit by bright halogen lights and buzzing with anticipation, another 1995 2 pence coin might just be preparing to make history once again. Top 4. In the dim shadows of the Royal Mint's long and storied history, countless coins have been struck, some forgotten, some ordinary, and a few that have captured the imagination of collectors worldwide. Among these unassuming treasures lies the 1999 UK 2 pence coin. At first glance, it appears simple, even mundane, a bronze-plated coin bearing the unmistakable likeness of Queen Elizabeth II. But the truth behind this little disc of metal is far more fascinating than meets the eye. And for collectors, investors, and numismatists, the story of the 1999 UK 2p is one wrapped in intrigue, nostalgia, scarcity, and rising value. To understand why this coin matters, we must first travel back through time, centuries, in fact, to the origins of Britain's decimal currency system. Long before 1999, British currency underwent monumental changes. The decision to decimalize was not taken lightly. It marked a shift from the traditional pounds, shillings, and pence system that had ruled for hundreds of years. In 1971, decimal day ushered in a new monetary era, replacing 12 pence per shilling and 20 shillings per pound with a cleaner, more logical base, 10 system. Among the first to be introduced was the 2 pence coin, coppery, round, and designed to last. The 2p coin remained relatively unchanged for decades, featuring the crown portcullis with chains, an enduring symbol associated with British Parliament. The reverse was originally designed by Christopher Ironside, a name now synonymous with British coinage artistry. His 2p design, though simple, carried profound symbolism. The portcullis echoed power, governance, and history, all cloaked in the dignified visual language of monarchy and tradition. A fast forward to 1999, and Britain was entering a new millennium. The nation stood at a cultural crossroads. Pop icons, political movements, and economic forecasts dominated headlines. But amidst all the chaos, the Royal Mint quietly pressed millions of coins into existence, including the now increasingly rare 1999 2 pence. Struck at Llantrisant in South Wales, the Royal Mint issued these coins in standard circulation quantities, and for many years they quietly moved through the economy, tapped on vending machines, lost between couch cushions, and exchanged by the millions at tills across the kingdom. And yet, it wasn't long before numismatists began to notice something curious. While the Royal Mint records indicate that around 258 million 2p coins were struck in 1999, finding one in truly pristine condition, uncirculated, untouched by time, became increasingly difficult. The vast majority had entered daily use, but a tiny fraction, those saved by collectors, those forgotten in sealed mint bags or hidden in special issue coin sets, remained in remarkable shape. These became the targets of coin hunters around the world. Particularly desirable were coins with sharp, unblemished detail, crisp edges, deep bronze luster, and the telltale absence of wear. In these coins, collectors saw more than metal. They saw stories, history, and potential. Nowhere was this more evident than at a 2022 auction in Birmingham, where a mint-condition 1999 UK 2p, graded brilliant, uncirculated, and certified by NGC, sold for an astonishing £325. The bidder, a seasoned collector from Kent, had spent months tracking high-grade examples. That auction sale sparked conversations across online coin forums and collector Facebook groups. What had once been thought of as pocket change was now commanding hundreds of pounds at auction houses such as Spink and Son, London Coins, and Warwick DS. What makes the 1999 version especially appealing? Part of its draw lies in its transitional timing. It was one of the final coins to feature the third portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, crafted by Raphael Maklauf, before the design transitioned in 1998 to Ian Rank Broadley's sharper, more mature rendering of the Queen. And while this change technically occurred before 1999, the Royal Mint's slow phasing of new designs meant overlapping production, making certain sets and dies rare crossover pieces. Moreover, the 1999 UK 2p saw no collector's edition release in silver or gold-proof variants, unlike other years. That means there's a relative scarcity of high-quality examples available in mint or proof condition. It was purely a workhorse coin, issued for circulation only. And it's precisely this absence from special sets that makes surviving high-grade coins so coveted. Collectors love a good story, and this coin has many. There are tales of individuals discovering pristine 2p coins in the back of drawers, sealed away for decades in old coin bags. Others tell of family heirlooms unknowingly hoarded, bags of 1999 coins originally kept for luck or as part of birthday gifts. Today, these lucky keepsakes are worth far more than anyone imagined back in the tail end of the 20th century. But not all 1999 2p coins are created equal. Sharp-eyed collectors pay close attention to detail. Misstrikes, where the coin is slightly off-center or double-struck, can command even higher values, especially when authenticated. One such error coin appeared at a 2023 auction in Manchester and sold for £410 after a heated bidding war. It had a unique die clash and retained full luster, an anomaly among anomalies. Condition, of course, is king. While worn coins from this year fetch no more than face value, those graded MS65 or above become increasingly desirable. Coin grading services like PCGS and NGC have reported fewer than 50 examples submitted at that level globally. That scarcity drives prices upward as collectors race to secure quality over quantity. Online marketplaces have only fanned the flames. On eBay UK, a graded 1999 2p recently fetched £179.99 after 22 bids. Another sold for £220 when paired with its sibling 1p and 5p coins from the same year. Buyers from as far as Australia and the United States have shown interest, eager to complete their British decimal collections with that elusive coin from the cusp of the millennium. For newer collectors watching this video and wondering whether to start the hunt, yes, it's worth it. The 1999 UK 2p is a classic example of a modern sleeper coin, overlooked for years, now recognized for its rarity and high condition. It teaches us that value isn't always in the metal content or mintage figures, but in the stories we attach, the condition we preserve, and the markets we shape as a community. As the market continues to evolve, some experts believe values may continue to climb, especially for error coins and high-grade specimens. Dealers across the UK have quietly begun offering buy lists, actively hunting 1999 2p coins in MS grades, and paying upwards of £250 in some cases. Major coin shows like the London Coin Fair now see increasing interest in decimal coins, a trend once dismissed as a passing fad, now recognized as the future of British numismatics. The Royal Mint, for its part, has made no public comment on the rising interest in this specific issue. But among insiders, whispers suggest that the 1999 2p may one day be honored with a retrospective collector's reissue, a tribute to a coin that defied expectations. Does so. The next time you handle a 2-pence coin from 1999, take a closer look. Examine the edges. Note the depth of the strike. Consider its journey, from a striking press in Wales to your hand today. What seems ordinary may, in fact, be extraordinary. To it is a coin born in a time of transition, wrapped in simplicity, now elevated to collectible glory. It is a symbol of forgotten value, rediscovered by those with sharp eyes and sharper instincts. The 1999 UK 2-pence coin is not just a coin. It's a chapter in Britain's modern numismatic story, and its final lines are still being written, one auction at a time. Top 5. In the quiet hum of everyday transactions, there lies a coin so ordinary it slips from hand to hand unnoticed, a humble copper-plated disc, often tossed into jars, drawers, or parking meters. But what if I told you that within the faint shimmer of that modest 2-pence coin minted in 2004, a secret hides, a secret that has captured the eyes and hearts of coin collectors around the world? What if this tiny, often overlooked piece of British currency was worth more than its face value, more than a sandwich or a bus fare? What if it was worth hundreds, even thousands, at the right auction? It all began in the mints of the Royal Mint in Llantrisant, South Wales, where billions of coins are struck every year with robotic precision and regal care. Among the ocean of coins minted in 2004, the 2-pence coin stood quietly in the shadow of more glamorous releases. But this particular year would mark something special, not because of how it looked on the surface, but because of what lay beneath. Collectors would come to know this year as one of silent rarity, a year when anomalies crept into circulation unnoticed. The 2004 2-pence coin features the regal profile of Queen Elizabeth II, the fourth portrait sculpted by Ian Rank Broadley, whose initials, IRB, sit subtly beneath Her Majesty's neck. His portrait replaced Raphael Makhlouf's third effigy in 1998, giving Her Majesty a more mature and realistic look, a striking contrast from the earlier youthful renderings. The reverse design, as traditional and iconic as a London red bus, bears the badge of the Prince of Wales, 3 ostrich feathers rising from a coronet with the motto, Ich Dien, meaning I serve. This reverse design, created by Christopher Ironside, had been a fixture on the 2-pence coin since decimalization in 1971. But here's where things take a turn from the expected to the exceptional. In 2004, a very limited number of 2-pence coins were reportedly struck using old reverse dies, the ones that still bore the phrase new pence instead of 2-pence. This was a throwback to the design used from 1971 until 1981. Imagine that. In a time when all coins should have read 2-pence, a mysterious handful slipped through with the phrase new pence. An error? A mishap? A subtle nod by a rogue mint worker? Whatever the cause, the result was a spectacular treasure for numismatists. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where the greedy glint in the collector's eye truly sharpens. In 2016, one of these rare error coins, the 2004 New Pence 2p, surfaced at a London auction hosted by Spink & Son. With starting bids modest and murmurs echoing through the room, the final hammer price stunned attendees, £540. For a coin that was once worth just 2-pence, that's a return of more than 27,000%. That's not just investment. That's magic. In another moment of coin lore. A 2004 UK 2p in brilliant uncirculated condition, flawless, as if untouched by time, found its way to the bidding floor at Warwick and Warwick auctioneers. Under the dazzling light of the showroom, amid the hushed breath of bidders and the rhythm of auctioneers' calls, it fetched an eye-watering £720. This was no ordinary sale. This was proof that everyday change, when struck by fate and flaw, becomes treasure. Of course, not all 2004 2p coins are created equal. The standard circulation strike, made of copper-plated steel, still bears weight in the eyes of collectors if kept in pristine, uncirculated condition. But those rare misprints, those accidental relics of forgotten dies, are the crown jewels of the year. And the only way to know if your coin is one of the blessed few is to look, really look. Is the text on the reverse new Pence? Is the strike sharp? The detail vivid? Then hold tight, friend. You might just be holding a ticket to the kind of profit that dreams are made of. The minting figures for 2004 reveal that tens of millions of 2p coins were produced. But of those, the number carrying the new Pence misprint is estimated to be fewer than a few hundred. Some numismatists believe the true figure could be under 20. That's right, less than 24 coins potentially exist, a number so small it's microscopic in the grand ecosystem of coinage. That level of rarity fuels an obsession among collectors, a fever that keeps eyes peeled in car seats, cash drawers, and supermarket tills across the UK. Even the metal composition plays its part in the legend. Up until 1992, UK 2p coins were minted from bronze. After that, copper-plated steel became the norm, a cheaper, more magnet-friendly alternative. So, while the 2004 2p isn't bronze, its copper-plated steel body still exudes the warm glow of wealth to those who understand its story. And when it carries that old-school new Pence charm, it's like holding a time traveler in your hand. There's something poetic about the idea that an error, a simple lapse in the rigid routine of minting, can create such value. It reminds us that perfection isn't always the pinnacle. Sometimes, the mistakes are what make something truly remarkable. And in the world of numismatics, rarity plus history plus mistake equals fortune. Stories have circulated across forums and collector groups, tales of sharp-eyed schoolchildren who spotted the old text, of elderly pensioners rediscovering coins tucked away for decades, of hobbyists whose entire collecting journey began with a single unexpected discovery. These aren't just coins. They're catalysts. They're keyholes to history. They are the stuff of legend made real. Now, imagine walking into an antique shop in Brighton, fingers casually flipping through bowls of copper coins, when your eye catches the lettering new Pence. Your heart skips. Your breath stills. Could it be? You check the date, 2004. Your pulse surges. And in that moment, you become part of the story. You become the protagonist in a tale of discovery, of accidental wealth, of numismatic glory. And what of the future? Will the 2004 UK 2p coin climb even higher in value? Experts believe so. As the years pass, and as coins continue to vanish into private collections and museums, the demand will only grow fiercer. These coins are finite. Their numbers are not replenishing. And every auction that ends with a record price only fuels the fire. Recently, a listing on eBay from a private seller in Leeds showed a 2004 2p new Pence coin with an asking price of £1,200. While unverified, the listing sparked debate and frenzy in equal measure. Was it genuine? Was it overpriced? Or was it simply the future arriving a little early? In coin collecting, hype can sometimes drive prices just as much as scarcity. But when hype meets truth, when the coin is truly rare, then the sky's the limit. So, if you're watching this video with a jar of coins nearby, do yourself a favor. Pour them out. Examine each one. Look for the year. Look for the legend on the reverse. And who knows? You might be one of the lucky few to uncover a treasure hiding in plain sight, a 2004 UK 2 pence coin worth not 2p, but hundreds, perhaps even thousands of pounds. Because in the end, coins are more than currency. They're history in your pocket. They're art, mistake, and story all fused into one tiny disc of metal. And for the collector, there is no greater thrill than the moment when ordinary becomes extraordinary.